Cabinet ministers and members of the Senior Management Board engaged in retreat to promote effective transformational governance. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report.
Grenada. The time for the national census is here again. Interviewers will be visiting your homes to gather information about you and your family. The data you provide determines budget allocation for health, grant funding for community projects, and government assistance for families and the elderly. The census is required by law, and so is your participation. We assure you that your information will be kept confidential. Do your part. Stand up and be counted, because we all count in this census. For more information about the census and your participation, contact the Grenada Central Statistical Office at 440-1369 or cso@cso.gov.gd.
With the details to the news for Friday, March 3rd, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Cabinet ministers, permanent secretaries, advisors, and other heads of departments were engaged in a series of retreats as government pushes its transformation agenda to promote more effective and efficient governance. The session themed Transformation focused on building effective executive teams who will prioritize critical mandates, communicate clearly, and foster better working relations. It also zeroed in on the process and operations of the cabinet. Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell reminded the team that although a lot has been achieved since the general elections, there is still a lot to be done. He said there is still some learning to do to guarantee effective governance.
But the reality is we do have significant learning to do as a government, both individually and collectively. First, to understand the government itself, to understand the government's own procedures, policies, manuals, organizational structure, why we are inefficient, when we are inefficient, why we are efficient, when we are efficient, and to make sure that we can replicate this across the entire government and by extension the state of Grenada. Because the citizens are looking to us to lead, and we ought not, having volunteered for the obligation, we ought not to resile or walk away from that. So I hope that we would all set a single goal of at least learning one thing from today's session, and that one thing would lead to us being more efficient, more productive, and having better outcomes for the citizens of Grenada.
The session is part of the Cabinet Office support towards realizing change within the public service. Acting Cabinet Secretary Carver Lett is optimistic that if the mindset and culture of the public service is adjusted, change can be realized incrementally within the service.
Everyone must work towards one goal, and that is transforming the lives of our citizens and the economy of Grenada through revolutionizing the public service and our culture, the way we do things. Finally, we can do so through the advice of McKinsey & Company posted in the article Transforming Government in a New Era, and they stipulated the 5 C's: committed leadership, clear purpose and priorities, compelling communication, capability for change, cadence and coordination in delivery. If these attributes are harnessed, change can be realized incrementally within the public service for a transformed Grenada. I welcome everyone to this retreat as the Cabinet Office strives to provide avenues to support and improve the effectiveness of government for the benefits of our citizens.
Grenada's Magistrate Court stands to reap tremendous benefits from the ELitigation Portal, which was launched on Thursday. The ELitigation Portal will transform court operations and improve the delivery of justice, citizens, country, and by extension, the OECS member states and territories. Court users and other stakeholders will have access to the services of the portal anywhere, anytime, and on any device. The platform has features such as electronic filing, electronic case management, and payments, among others. The journey toward litigation started prior to the COVID-19 pandemic with the intention of making things easier for practitioners. So far, the portal was launched in Antigua and Barbuda, the British Virgin Islands, St. Lucia, and now Grenada. Her Ladyship, the Honorable Dame Janice Pereira, DBE, Chief Justice, said this portal makes the judicial system of the state of Grenada stand out.
We must continue to really harness technology because it is here to stay. It is the way of the world. We are not going back. We must become competitive. We must be competitive like any other state or country or region within the world. And so the portal has basically, I think, transformed the way that we do business at the Court of Appeal and the High Court. And I think, as the learned Attorney General said, perhaps COVID came and then we realized suddenly that what would we do had we not the portal to resort to? I am happy that during that period, the challenge was taken to ensure that all of the courtrooms in the magistracy embraced virtual hearings, and I understand that it's the only state where all of the magistracies are able to conduct remote hearings. So I think that is a really great step.
Chief Justice Pereira said an important benefit of the portal is its ability to reduce spending in the courts and governments across the region.
This brings about significant cost savings to the court and by extension to the governments everywhere. The governments across the region have seen considerable cost savings in the court's operations, particularly that in the Court of Appeal. We are no longer spending a lot of money in relation to documents, copies, traveling on airplanes with large volumes of bankers' boxes of materials. And it was costing, I can assure you, at $40 US, I think, or thereabout per banker's box, back and forth. It adds up to a lot of money over time. So all of that can be put back into the system to help us to improve the technologies that we use.
Grenada's Minister for Legal Affairs, Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph, thanked the Chief Justice and the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court team for the innovation in the judicial system. Senator Joseph said it is timely, as Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell announced during the 2023 budget presentation, that government will no longer allow printing of more than 5 pages.
While at government, we speak of the transformation agenda, and we say, and of course we do mean, that part of the transformation agenda of this government includes digital transformation. Our work is made much easier when it comes to transformation of the judiciary digitally, because the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, under the leadership of Chief Justice, has gone ahead of government and has implemented the digital transformation in the courts, so much so that the courts have little to worry about in terms of complying with government's new policy of printing no more than 5 pages.
The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court's IT manager, Mark Ernest, spoke about some of the security features of the portal.
We have different levels of security associated with the portal. There's the high-level security, and also we have the system-level security. Chief Justice made reference to some of the system-level security, meaning passwords, high-level passwords, encrypted passwords. I think I have a couple of them there. Maybe I can just share with you. One time, we have the ability for the documents to be sealed, cases to be sealed. We have the ability for documents following the normal court process to be deemed as ex parte. So in the case of a document being deemed ex parte, of course, no indication in that case is placed on the portal that the filing takes place except to the judge and the registrar or senior magistrate. So these types of features, the whole idea of the ability, as in any application, to create groups of users. So you'd have case managers being able to see only what's assigned to them, the registrars being able to see only what they should see, the magistrates in the case of the magistracy again. So there are different roles, and within those roles come the ability to do different things.
This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break.
Have you noticed an increase or decrease in your electricity bill? You know that changes in the fuel and non-fuel rates affect your bill. You should also be aware that changes in household activities affect your bill. Ask yourself these questions. Have the rates changed? Have there been more people at your home? Have your children been on holiday? Have you used your fan or air conditioning unit more often to beat the heat? Are any of your electrical appliances or equipment faulty? Have you added any new appliances such as transformers, water heaters, or pumps? Make it a habit to understand any changes on your electricity bill. For more factors that affect your bill, visit www.grenlec.com. Grenlec, energizing our Grenada.
Welcome back. Housing Minister Honorable Philip Telesford says contractors are on target to complete the cupboards and other minor work on the low-income housing units by June 2023. Prime Minister Honorable Deacon Mitchell, the Housing Minister, and other members of Cabinet visited the Corinth units on Thursday to get an update on the progress being made with outfitting the units with sample cupboards and closets. The units were handed over to the previous administration in 2022. However, following the change in government in June, the application process was reopened and extended, and remedial work commenced. Prime Minister Mitchell, who is the parliamentary representative for St. David, is confident that government's decision to ensure residents will be comfortable once they occupy the units is the best one.
The look of it is modern, it is sleek, it's in keeping with the deco. And we wanted to make sure that we had the cabinetry in before the houses are distributed. So this is just one example of the types of cabinetry. As you've seen, there are others downstairs. So the aim is to have the samples installed. We can then get all of the contractors to come in, look at the different quality and the standards of work, and then to select the best and have the best installed throughout the units.
Housing Minister Philip Telesford says when the units are completed, government will work with the committee to distribute them to successful applicants.
From here, I expect to see them stepping on the gas a bit because we would really want to complete the installations by June. From the look of it, it's not an easy task to accomplish, but I believe that we are up to the task, and so we'll be doing our best to be able to complete by the end of June, so at least we could start the process of distribution of the units. Now, the application process is by and large complete. We just have, just to wait on the committee to actually do the final presentation to the ministry and to cabinet, and from there we'll be able to basically understand what is in store in terms of the positioning from the committee itself.
He said of the 647 units at all the locations, a portion will be secured by the Ministry of Social Development and Housing for emergency use.
47 at various locations, including Carriacou, St. Patrick's, and St. Mark and so on, would be held for situations that warrant rescue by the government. For example, somebody's house that might have been burnt, or a distressed parent with child, of course, needing rescue from social services point of view. We may need to attend to them in that way. And so we have held 47 units around the country, including Carriacou, for that purpose.
With 226, Corinth has the largest number of the modern designed 1- and 2-bedroom apartments. Finally, in the news, students of the St. Andrews Anglican, St. Andrews Methodist, Telescope Primary and Sacred Heart RC are now more informed about mangroves and their importance to the environment and their communities. Earlier this week, they participated in a field day which started at the Grenville Bay Community Nursery, which grows mangroves, vetiver grass and other trees that are used in their coastal rehabilitation efforts within 4 areas in the parish: Big Bay, Telescope, Small Bay Telescope, Simone and Conference. The training was organized by the Climate Smart and Rural Enterprise Development Program in collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture, Lands, Fisheries and Cooperatives.
My name is Jonathan Edwards. I live in Telescopes. I live close to Big Bay in Telescope. We're studying about the mangrove plants, how the mangrove plants protect the area who live close to Big Bay, Small Bay. So we're telling you right now not to cut down the mangrove tree.
My name is Janelle Gittins and I am from St. Andrews Methodist School.
Okay, and Janelle, tell us some of the things that you learned today on the field trip.
I learned that there are different types of mangroves and different colors. They can protect your houses, your buildings, your shops.
The students got the opportunity to experience the work that goes on into managing the Grenville Bay Community Nursery, also visiting the Small Bay in Telescope to understand how the types of mangroves and their impact on the community.
I'm Adam Nicholas and I am schooling in Tivoli. I learned about red mangrove, the roots are red, and I learned that the pink water is algae.
I learned about different kinds of, different colors of mangroves, like red, white, black. Anytime the leaves yellow, that means it's dying. And anytime the leaves green, that means it's well and healthy and strong.
The training was facilitated by Kendon James, Technical Specialist at the Windward Islands Research and Education Foundation, St. George's University. That story just ended the national report for Friday, March 3rd, recapping the top story. Cabinet ministers and members of the Senior Management Board engaged in retreat to promote effective transformational governance. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us.